Welcome to Trev White Sailing. Well, today we're not just sitting in the boat, we're sailing the boat. And I've just left Picton in the top of the South Island, New Zealand. Well, I left at about 10 o'clock this morning, and it's about, well, nearly 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Sun's just dipping behind some mountains in the background, and I've got through Toro Channel, and I'm now out in the Cook Strait, and it lives up to its name yet again. It's only blowing about 25 knots, but it's rolly as it's quite rough. I guess it's because the tides are against the wind here and makes it incredibly uncomfortable. But the wind is blowing in the right direction. Today it's coming from the northwest, and I'm going to the northeast, so that works for me. I'm soon be sailing past Wellington, and then I'm on to the bottom of New Zealand rather, and then I'll be heading up the east coast on my way to Auckland. So I was hoping to get some crew for part of this journey, but yeah, it's just not going to happen. So I'm solo, so solo man. But that's okay, it's easy. The only person I'm going to please is myself. And the reason I left without crew was I've got this weather window. If I didn't leave today, it could be another week before I could have got out of Picton. And there's some foul weather coming. And there was frost on the ground. Frost on the ground is not a good sign when you want to be in the tropics. So I left and packed hurriedly, made some pasta mixes last night, froze them, got a heap of meat early this morning, had a coffee, and yeah, managed to get out of the berth I was in, which was incredibly challenging. It was in behind another boat, in between other boats, so we managed to walk my yacht around those and get out of there. Went and picked up some fuel. And sadly, one of my jerrys just fell over, and yeah, it spilled diesel on the back of the deck. So I'm just enjoying the woof of diesel coming through the boat. I was trying to work out where it was coming from. But that's life. If I had other people on board, I'm sure it would have them reaching over the side, because the smell of diesel can be quite challenging for some people. And that radio you hear in the background is New Zealand Coastal Radio, trying to raise somebody. Not me, thankfully. But yeah, this is an interesting piece of water. I'm dodging ferries, or they're dodging me, because they're going a bit faster than I am. These are quite large car ferries. They go across this channel regularly, and it's not such a big challenge today because we have AIS, which is the ship location and boat location software, which works through VHF, and yeah, it makes it really easy to track ships. Makes it easy for them to see me if I'm transmitting, which I am, and I highly recommend everybody to buy it unless you're really paranoid. But yeah, on my chart plotter I can watch ships change course and go around me, and that's happened several times today. The ferries have just gone around me, which is nice. But tonight I shall be at the bottom of the North Island of New Zealand, about 22:30. Given the current speed and course, I'm averaging 8 knots, which is pretty quick for Tintin. Like, we can do 10 knots on a reach in an offshore breeze, but we rarely sort of maintain 8. We've been maintaining 8 for about 2 hours now, but I've just had to drop the mizzen because we were getting rolled up too much. So now I've just got a deep reef main, so I've got 2 reefs in my main, and I've got my storm jib out. Or not storm jib, but my heavy weather jib. So, and it's a quartering sea, quartering wind, so I'm just getting pushed along. But I'm yeah, constantly sort of nosing up. So I'm just trying to adjust my autopilot, and really I'm trying to work out the autopilot. So I've only just installed this one. So this is its first run, and it's pretty challenging conditions for an autopilot. But yeah, I haven't quite got it tuned, and it's using a lot of power. You know, like I'm probably pulling 10 to 15 amps in these seas, and it's it's because it's reacting a little too regularly. It needs to be sort of wound down a little bit, so it just has a more of a easy motion, just waves or winds its way through the ocean. At the moment it's fighting a little bit too hard, so that's using quite a bit of power. But my batteries are charged, so I can do this for 2 days and not sweat it. Yeah, as I said, sun's just about to go down. I've just got to keep an eye on a couple of ships that are making their way up towards me. They're cargo ships, but they should go around me. And once that happens, I'm going to go and put my head down and get some sleep. Probably try and grab 30 minutes. I don't think I'm going to see any more ferries tonight, which is nice. I've sort of almost got past Wellington, and that takes me out of the ferry transit path. Just got to worry about fishing boats and cargo ships and the conditions if they deteriorate. Like I know there's a blow coming through, and probably about 10 o'clock. I've been using a weather app called Windy. It's been pretty, reliable here in New Zealand and also in Australia. So yeah, fairly happy with that. But they're only accurate to within about an hour or two, and probably not even that. And they're not always super accurate to your location. So yeah, on Windy it says it's going to blow its ass off about 10 o'clock. So I'm sort of getting ready for that. Probably put another reef in the main. I can then shorten the head sail, so I'm almost into storm sail configuration. As I say, just drop the mizzen. And then the wind's going to die off. So probably around 3 in the morning I'll be back on the motor. And by then I should be heading north or northeast up the east coast of New Zealand. So my plan is to get about 10-20 miles off the coast, outside of like the general fishing areas, inside of the ship transit. So they tend to run about 20 miles off the coast for the same reasons. And I'll do a bit more of an evaluation on the coastal currents. Like often these places have currents that run either in close or further out. And they can be up to 3 or 4 knots. Like the Australian East Coast current will run it up to 3 or 4 knots around Eden, and other places up the east coast it'll be a knot. So if you can work with it, it's an advantage. If you're trying to fight it, it's just costing you time. So it's something I've got to do a bit more research on tonight. And I'm thinking at this speed and these conditions, Auckland 3 days, because I'm not going to stop anywhere. I'm just going to push straight through. It'll be, it's always a bit challenging when you're solo, you got to try and grab sleep, and I don't mind it in the middle of the ocean because there's not much around. But these coastal conditions, your biggest challenge is fishing boats, because they don't run AIS, or a lot of them don't have AIS. So I'm relying on them having AIS, or monitoring AIS and picking me up. But that's the challenge, Often, they've got a small crew and they might be working the back deck and not actually looking out. And if I'm not looking out, then we've got 2 hazards on the ocean. So, yeah, I typically do, 30 minutes sleep and then be back up. So with 30 minutes sleep, I can see a ship on the horizon on my AIS or radar, and I can be awake again for it to be within my close vicinity of a mile or 2. And I've also got my AIS set for 2 nautical miles, and I can set my radar up as well to give me an alarm if it picks anything up. But in these sort of shitty conditions, radars are not that great, or small radars on vessels of this size. They're not that great for picking up ships because they get a lot of clutter with the sea conditions. So yeah, anyway, I thought I'd do a bit of a chat where we're actually sailing, and what you're hearing, all that noise, is my sails slapping and the ropes flogging and the ocean washing over the back quarter of the yacht. Occasionally I'm getting a wave slap the side of the boat and land in the cockpit. The flag is flogging away, the wind generator is whirring, and that's helping to ease some of the power drain that I have. But yeah, it's generally a noisy sort of adventure. There's lots happening, and these are the sounds that you get when you're cruising in the ocean and it's a little bit rough. It's a little bit different when it's calm conditions. It's almost completely quiet. But in these conditions, you get waves slap the side of the boat, and like it's like someone just slapped it with a shovel, and that generally happens. You'll get a wave dump into the cockpit or over the side of the boat, and I've had 2 of those already. So I've dropped some of my side curtains to prevent waves from dumping in the cockpit. We had to go and change one pair of pants. But yeah, the other thing I need to start thinking about is putting on dinner. So when I do these passages, I tend to make food in advance. As I said last night, I was making up pasta sauces, and I made up some pasta sauce with pasta for this evening's meal. So I'll just have to heat that up in a pan shortly. That will be dinner, and then I just live on, nuts, fruit, a little bit of fruit and nut rather. Cups of tea, occasional coffee, but I'm trying to wean myself off the coffee a little bit. I used to drink quite a bit of Coke for the sugar, but I found that wasn't great either. I tend to stack the weight on drinking that stuff, so I'm trying to cut myself off the Coke. So yeah, it's cups of tea, a little bit of honey, a bit of cream these days, I'm quite fond of, and and that will sustain me most of the night. If things really get bad, I'll just hove to and sleep for a few hours, and that's something we can easily do on a sailboat, where you just back the boat into the wind, and the sails are sort of pushed over, the boat's sort of heeling, and and we just stay in that position until we choose to go back into the sailing mode. But it's a great way to have a rest, or if it's quite rough, to cook a meal. So that's the technique I use. But thanks very much for joining me with Trevor White Sailing, and you get to experience a little bit of what sailing is, the sounds, maybe the emotion. You'll hear me in a couple of days. I'll be fatigued or shit scared because it'll be blowing a gale. Well, maybe not scared, but just worn out and grumpy. But I plan to share this journey, maybe share this lifestyle a little bit for those who are keen to explore it. All right. Have a good afternoon or morning, depending where you are, and take care. Safe sailing.